Hey, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahawashi, Bahashem, Rakah Gwadash, and double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace, salutations, and blessings to the house of David, which is the elect. Just hold on one second. Just need to fix something real quick. Okay. All right, shalom, shalom once again. So I just want to touch on this lesson, Lord willing to be edifying. All right, and informative unto the elect. As you see, the title says this prophecy is manifesting, will not regard their gold nor silver. Okay, and I got a couple articles. As you see, the first one here coming from Russia Today. It says ruble dominating quote toxic Western currencies in Russian exports, says Putin. Okay, and as we are watching the prophecies unfold, okay, Yahweh Bashim Hawashai is clearly working working this work, man, and it's beautiful to be able to live in these times and understand the workings of Yahweh Bashim Hawashai and see how the end is manifesting. All right, everything that the Lord said was going to be happening in these latter days, all right, which will be signs for us to know that our salvation is nigh at hand. As Yahweh said, when you start to see these things come to pass, lift up your head, for your redemption draweth nigh. Okay, and the fact that it's constantly happening day after day, every day, there is more and more talk, all right, of wars. All right, you got pestilences popping up. You got these various different so-called natural disasters, right? You got evil spirits, all right, spirits created for vengeance that are just out here, all right, and all of these are signs, right? All of these are things that the Lord said was going to be happening in these latter days. And this article I came across earlier today. When I seen it, at first I was just meditating, thinking upon the on the fact that the American hegemony, right? The what would you call it? The uh, Western economy, right? Spearheaded by America, how it's becoming more and more distant, or should I say, nations are distancing themselves from using the dollar, right? That whole terminology, de-dollarization, is becoming more widespread, right? Geopolitically. But as I was reading this article and then another article, it through the spirit, it dawned on me on how this is actually a prophecy that the Lord is that was spoken about of old. Okay, because the whole de-dollarization ideology really is spearheaded by Russia. Now, we know that you also have countries, like China as well, and other countries, that are allied with them, that are, partaking in this whole ideology of de-dollarization. But it's, ultimately the Russians that are the ones that are the head of this movement. Okay, and as we're going to read, this is causing really the whole inflation and the whole problems that America is having economically, within America, and the citizens are feeling that brunt, that burden. It's really causing, like I said, it's causing America to crumble, all right, economically. Even back a couple years ago, once the whole war between Russia and Ukraine happened, Biden got on the TV and said what, inflation is Putin's problem, right? Blame Putin. Putin. He's the cause of inflation. And that is the narrative that they're trying to push ultimately, so that they could have the bad guy and try to gear the minds of the American citizens to think of Russia as the ones that is causing all of the problems, when you in reality America's own philosophies and their own ill way of doing economy is, in economics rather, is what's causing all of this, chaos. And I have a quick video too that Lord willing I can get to, that I wanted to play. I was watching this from Redacted earlier, and this came out earlier today as well. It says everything is changing for the US dollar, and this is the final straw. Okay. So it's being seen how the US dollar, right, which is currently the world's currency, is depleting, right? It's losing its power, it's losing its steam throughout the world. And like I said, Russia is one of the main countries that is spearheading this. So let's read this. It says, um, the shares of the ruble in Russian foreign trade operation continues to grow, while payments in the currencies of unfriendly states is declining. Russia President Vladimir Putin said on Friday, addressing a plenary session at the St. Petersburg International Economic Forum. It says the term unfriendly refers to countries which have imposed severe financial sanctions on Russia in response to the conflict in Ukraine. And America has done that to many, various different countries, right? Russia, um, Syria, North Korea, China, Iran, all right, just to name a few. Okay, how they weaponized their currency against countries, and it would have gotten to a certain point that those countries were going to react, right? It was going to be a response to that. They weren't just going to just sit there and just have America just use its monetary system as a weapon. Okay, and that's why you now have this whole concept of multi-polarization, all right, of the government, the geoeconomics, right? You have this whole rhetoric on how the Western domination of the world is over. Okay, and when they say that, they're speaking specifically about America, ruling the world through its finances. All right. So reading on, it says last year the shares of payment in Russian export in the so-called toxic currencies of unfriendly states decreased by half. At the same time, the share of the ruble in export and import transaction is growing. It is now approaching 40%, Putin said. He also noted that the share of the Russian currency in international payments have tripled since 2021. Russia actively began replacing the dollar and the euro in foreign trade amid Western sanctions imposed over the Ukraine conflict. It has since dramatically reduced the number of bank accounts and transactions between companies and financial institutions involving Western currencies. Prior to the conflict, the share of the US dollar and the euro in Russian settlements was around 90%. According to Putin, friendly countries currently account for three-quarters of Russia's trade turnover. Russia will continue to boast cross-border payments in national currencies with other states, the president said. So this is something that they are going to continue to do, right? They're going to continue to use their own country's, own country currency, which is the ruble, to do trades with other countries, moving away from the US dollar being the currency to do trades, right? And you also have certain countries in the Middle East, namely Saudi Arabia, that have, in the past, they had an agreement with America that they would only do trades with the for oil in the U.S. dollar, but as of late, recently, they have been, saying how they would use um, other countries' currencies. I believe they talked about the Chinese currency, right? I can't remember right now what their currency is called, but I think it's the yuan. But they said that they would accept that as a form of payment for oil. And they're also Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is also a part of the BRICS, nations. So you having a lot of these countries move away from using the U.S. dollar to do trade between them two, which will ultimately cause what the U.S. dollar globally to be less used. And all of those, and if it's being less used, that means that those dollars that are out there in the world will have to come back to America. And when you have a bunch of money coming back, right, a bunch of U.S. dollars coming back into the country, right? It's not being used as a form of payment by other countries, which America basically can get a percentage, through interest on that. So that's how America boosts its economy. But if all of those currencies come back because now they're using their own national currency, what is that going to cause to happen here in Babylon the Great? It's going to cause a hyperinflation because you already have inflation right now, but it will cause hyperinflation. All right. So reading on, it says Putin also highlighted that the BRICS countries are developing their own payment infrastructure independent of Western alternatives. The BRICS nations are working on setting up an independent payment system that is not subject to political pressure, fraud, and external sanction pressure, the Russian president said. Okay. And that is what the world is now, realizing that America has always been oppressing, the nations through various different means. And one of the most common way is through what? The financial system, right? Let me pull this up real quick. In the book of Isaiah, chapter 14, verse 4, it says, and thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon. All right. And say, so I just wanted to make sure the audio was good. And say, how hath the oppressor ceased? The golden city ceased, right? And I always go into this word oppressor. In the Hebrew, it is nagas, right? Nagas, which means what? Oppressor, exerting, demanding pressure, exactor of tribute, right? To harass, it says by implication, to tax, harass, tyrannize, right? And a sanction is just taxation, right? That's what sanctions are. You when you're basically taxing, countries, right? Through the import and exporting, whole mechanism. You see? So that's what America has done. It says, the Lord has broken the staff of the wicked and the scepters of the rulers. He who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke, he that ruled the nations in anger, is persecuted and none hindereth. And that is why you have this rhetoric here about speaking about what? Toxic Western currencies, right? You got other, countries saying how the way that America does business is corrupt. As he just said here, it's political pressure, it's fraud. See, external sanction pressure. So, as we always say that countries go to war, mainly because of what? Financial reasons, right? Wars start because of trying to get power, and power in this world is based off of what? Your economy, right? The bigger your economy, the more money you make, right? The more the bigger your GDP, the stronger your country is, the more powerful your country will is, and the more influence it can have on the world stage. So now that you have these countries, part of the BRICS nations are, systematically moving away from strengthening America by way of using its dollar, that is going to cause what? American power to decrease. And Russia is the spearhead of this movement. Okay. So now that we mentioned how they said that the BRICS nations were developing their own payment structure, let's go here. It says BRICS members discussing unified payment system, Russian finance minister. The new settlement mechanism will allow countries to bypass Western financial messenger SWIFT. Anton has said, I'm not going to try to pronounce his last name, right? And it's interesting how they're doing this, right? But then you have America, along with its allies, the EU nations, they're talking about creating a new digital what is it called, the Fed now, system. So you have the whole entire world is moving toward a digital payment system. See, but you have the one side, and it's all political theater, right? A lot of these things are being done behind closed doors, and you have both sides that are ultimately being controlled by the elites of the world. Okay, but you have, as it pertains to prophecy, because America still at this very moment is the world currency. They're going to be forced, or they're going to you know basically come up with a system to where they will be able to use digital payments as the form of payment, which is why the scriptures calls the Karachma the mark of the beast, because when this gets instituted, when it gets implemented, it is going to be the beast system, which is the NATO and the EU, spearheaded by America, that is going to push this upon the world. All right. But at the same time, you have the BRICS nations that are also looking to create a digital, financial payment system. See? So let's read this. It says BRICS finance ministers are currently examining the possibility of launching a common blockchain based system of financial settlements that could be used in place of the Western dominated financial messaging system SWIFT. Russian Finance Minister Anton said on Friday. Providing an alternative payment system is a key goal of the new mechanism, as the US dollar settlements currently pose great risks for participants of global trade. The minister said that Russia proposes creating a common platform for exchanging digital financial assets that will be issued by central banks on the basis of national currencies. See? So once again, it's the central banks that are issuing this, digital financial asset. And we know that the ones that are in control of these financial, these central banks, because all major economies have central banks, but you have to understand that who is the ones that are really, in control of these central banks. It goes back to the Rothschild family, all right, which are who? The small hats. That's why we always quote Mayor Amschel Bauer said, "What? Give me control of a nation's money. I care not who make the laws." Which is why you also have countries that are part of the BRICS that are also members of the World Economic Forum, members of the World Government Summit, right? They also adhere to the the regulations of the World Bank, or the BIS, the Bank of International Settlements. Who controls those banks? Because the Bank of International Settlements is considered the central bank of central banks. You see? So you have the political gesturing between the countries of Russia and America, but you also have the ones, as we see on the back of the dollar bill, right? The all-seeing eye that is on top of the pyramid, right? So reading on, it says a new settlement system based on modern digital technologies is the thing of the future. He said, highlighting digital financial assets, tokens, and blockchain systems. See, a new settlement system based on modern digital technologies. The same thing you had, Christine Lagarde of the European Central Bank say that you had that one guy, I forgot exactly what his name was, but that just came out recently. He was speaking at a one of these summits, and he basically said how in the future, in the near future, physical currency is going to be a thing of the past, and the world is moving toward digital payment. That will be the new form of payment. See? But what do we see happening while all of this is going on? You have Russia is de-dollarizing, right? And along with Russia, its allies. So let's finish this up. Um, it says highlighting digital financial assets, tokens, and a blockchain as the tools that make abandoning SWIFT possible. Because it won't just be the American dollar that will be the sole world currency. They're trying to implement a system, right? Their enterprise is to implement a system where it would be a one world currency, one world government, right? One world payment system that all national currencies will go into this pool of digital currencies, and you can just trade or buy and sell simultaneously, throughout all countries using this pool of digital currencies. Okay, so you wouldn't have to, if you was, let's say, if you go to a different country, let's say if you in America and you go to Europe, you wouldn't have to, exchange a dollar for a euro, because it all would just be, in this digital, this digital pool, and your digital wallet will be able to interchange. It will be interchangeable with whatever country you're at, the digital currencies that you're using. Okay, so it says the use of the national currency is now the main tool for making cross-border payments for Russia, adding that Moscow and its trading partners are seeking new ways to support import-export activities. Settlements in the national currencies are also a way out, but we see that there are restrictions for financial institutions that today are not always ready, given the sanctions risk, to process payments with Russian banks, the minister explained. Russia has been promoting its own domestic payment system as a reliable alternative to SWIFT since many of the country's financial institutions were cut off from the Western financial network in 2022. The Russian SPFS interbank messaging system ensures that the secure transfer of financial messaging payments, messaging between banks and inside and outside of the country. Moscow has also accelerated efforts to move away from the SWIFT by trading with international partners using their respective national currencies. And once again, the SWIFT is a payment system that is basically owned by America, right? Owned by the United States. So them moving away from that is in essence not regarding their gold and silver, right? And let's get that scripture. So this is the book of Isaiah chapter 13, verse 17. As you see the subtitle, it says, Babylon will fall to the Medes. Now, when you go into history and when you go into prophecy, this is twofold. Now, Isaiah, this prophecy of Isaiah the 13th chapter is ultimately speaking about modern day Babylon the Great. Okay, although ancient or the Neo-Babylonian Empire did fall to the Medes and the Persians, right? But the prophecy that the Lord gave unto the prophets, it was twofold. In order to understand that, you have to understand the history on how the Babylonian Empire fell and what happened when the Babylonian Empire fell, and see if that links up to what the scriptures are saying about the Babylon that is being spoke about here. All right, for instance, which we'll read it. Okay, I don't want to jump ahead. So it says, "Behold, I will stir up the Medes against them, which shall not regard silver, and as for gold, they shall not delight in it." All right. Now, the Lord is the one, as it says in Proverbs, the 21st chapter, that the heart of the king is in the hand of the Lord. Right. So it is the Heavenly Father, YAHAWAH, that is stirring up these kings, all right, of the earth, like Vladimir Putin. They call themselves presidents now, but he's in essence the king of Russia, right? And the Lord is putting it into their mind, in his mind, to do what? To move away from using the US dollar. So they're not regarding their silver, and as for gold, they should not delight in it. Meaning that the US currency is not something that the Russians, is looking at in order to do trade with other countries. As we see, that's what those articles is going into. Okay. So this is why we're seeing this. This is how, rather, we're seeing this prophecy manifest. This is a financial. This scripture right here is speaking about finance, right? Gold and silver in the ancient world was a means of what? Money, right? That's real money, gold and silver. What we deal with nowadays is fiat money. Okay. But them saying that they will not regard silver, and as for gold, they shall not delight in it. Are they saying that, oh, gold and silver, the actual physical gold and silver is going to be worthless? No, they're saying that the money that the Babylon the Great, or this prophetic Babylon, the money that they have won't be something that they will desire. All right. It won't be something that they will look to as being something that will be valuable to them. And we're seeing that happen as we speak, because you have the BRICS nations are de-dollarizing, and they're moving away from using the US dollar to do trade, international trade, right? So reading on, it says, "Their bows also shall dash their young men to pieces." And in a bow, in an ancient world, with a bow and arrow, it can't actually dash somebody into pieces. All right. And these bows are speaking about what? The nuclear missiles. Those can destroy, bodies. They can destroy buildings. They can break up, flesh, dash them into pieces, as it says here. It says, "They shall have no pity on the fruit of the womb, and their eyes shall not spare children." Right? Because once those missiles get shot off, the missile in Russia has it targeted to hit certain, to hit America. It's not going to say, okay, only, don't hit any pregnant woman, don't hit any children. When a nuclear missile detonates, anybody that's in that radius is going to be deleted, is going to be destroyed. That's why it says they shall have no pity upon the fruit of the womb, right? Women that are pregnant, their eyes shall not spare children. It says in Babylon, the glory of kingdoms, the beauty of the Chaldees' excellency shall be as when God overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. And it's interesting that it calls it the beauty of the Chaldees' excellency, because earlier today I was just looking up various different things, and actually, let's see if I can find it now. What does China call America? Let's see if it comes up. Right. Let's see. So it says the modern standard Chinese name for United States is this word right here. When you look up this word, it means beautiful. It's not popping up now. Oh, here we go. It says the Chinese word for America is however you pronounce that, right? I'm gonna try to see if I can pull up a pronunciation. Let's see.
Migo.
Migo. All right. And it says, or literally the beautiful country. Okay. Or literally the beautiful country. And I believe there's a scripture. Let me see what it says in the book. Second Ezra 16. Let me see. So bear with me. Oh, not 16, 15. Yeah, I was already there. Um, let's see. Right. It says, and thou Asia are partaker. It's second Ezra 16, verse 46, are partaker of the hope of Babylon, and art the glory of her person. Woe be unto thee, thou wretch, because thou hast made thyself like unto her. Thou hast decked thy daughters in whoredom, that they might please and glory in thy lovers, which always have desired to commit whoredom with thee. Okay. So that's why even in countries in Asia, they mimic the American infrastructure and American culture. All right, which the American culture is nothing but just wickedness, abominable, acts. But nonetheless, you have a lot of Asian countries that really just do their culture. Like I said, is a carbon copy of America, right? You look at certain other cities, it looks like New York. It looks like New York City. All right, they and there's a whole bunch of stuff. That's another lesson for another time. But this scripture right here shows how that they are, you know, uh, uh, um, they have made themselves like unto Babylon. Okay, but going back to where was I? Isaiah, right? So it says, "And Babylon, the glory of the kingdoms, the beauty of the Chaldees' excellency, shall be as when God overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah." So this right here is a clue to how this isn't talking about the Neo-Babylonian Empire, because the Neo-Babylonian Empire, when it was taken down, did not end up like Sodom and Gomorrah, right? It says, "It shall never be inhabited, neither shall it be dwelt in from generation to generation. Neither shall the Arabian pinch tit there, neither shall the shepherds make their fold there. But the wild beasts of the desert shall lie there, and their houses shall be full of doleful creatures, and owls shall dwell there, and the satyr shall dance there." It says, "And the wild beasts of the islands shall cry in their desolate houses, and dragons in their places, in their pleasant places, and her time is near to come, and her days shall not be prolonged." Now, when you just go, I just typed in the fall of Babylon in Wikipedia, and just to get some historical context, it says in the invasion, right? So this is how Babylon, the Neo-Babylonian Empire, basically was taken over. It says in 539 BCE, Cyrus invaded Babylonia. Historical reconstruction of the Babylon. Let me see if I can make this bigger. All right. It says um, the historical reconstruction of the fall of the Babylon to Persia has been problematic due to the inconsistencies between the various sources documented. Both the Babylonian Chronicles and the Cyrus Cylinder describes Babylon being taken without battle, right? And when you even go into the book of Daniel, it speaks about when the handwriting came on the wall, right? And Daniel told Belshazzar how his kingdom, basically was going to be given into the Medes. And then it says what? That Belshazzar was basically killed, and then Cyrus became king, right? It doesn't speak about it being, destroyed, with fire, okay, utterly desolate. None of those things happen, because that's why it says here, the Babylonian Chronicles and Cyrus Cylinder describes Babylon being taken without a battle, because it was more so like a strategic strike, right? It wasn't something that it took, the whole entire city to be destroyed. Okay, it says, whereas the Greek historians Herodias and Xenophon reported that the city was besieged, the biblical book of Daniel notes that the king was killed. Okay, so pretty much ancient, well, not ancient Babylon, but the Neo-Babylonian Empire wasn't destroyed utterly, right? That's why it says absorption. Okay, it basically got absorbed into the Persian Empire. But here, as we're reading in Isaiah the 13th chapter, it speaks about Babylon shall be as when God overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. And this is how we know that this is speaking about Babylon the Great. Okay, this is another scripture here, Isaiah 21 verse 2. It says, a grievous vision is declared unto me, the treacherous dealer dealeth treacherously, and the spoiler spoileth. Go up, Elam, besiege, O Media. All the sign thereof have I made to cease. Now, we know that the Persians, aka the Iranians, are of the seed of Elam. All right, they're Elamites. And Media are the Medes, that area, right, of the Median, the where ancient Media was at, will now be considered, the area of how we say western, so like northeastern of Europe, where you have, Kazakhstan and all of those countries that were a part of the USSR, all right, which basically Russia, is over in that region. See, so you have Elam, which once again is the Persians, and I'm speaking modern day, right? Or the Iranians, and Media, which is the Medes, which is the area where the Russians are at. As Isaiah is getting this vision, he is saying, what? Go up, Elam, and besiege, O Media, all the sign thereof have I made to cease. Therefore are my loins filled with pain. Pangs have taken hold upon me, as the pangs of a woman that travaileth. I was bowed down at the hearing of it. I was dismayed at the seeing of it. See, so he saw the vision of Babylon the Great, aka America, being destroyed. And when he saw that vision, he basically was, it was a horrible vision that he saw. Right. Let's get this in the NLT. It says, my stomach aches and burns with pains. Sharp pains of anguish are upon me, those like those of a woman in labor. I grow faint when I heard what God is planning. I am too afraid to look. Okay. It says, my heart painted fearfulness affrighted me. The night of my pleasure he hath turned into fear upon me. And brothers have gotten, dreams, of Babylon, America being destroyed. And us being within this place and seeing it happen, it was something that was like, a fearful sight. Okay. It was a fearful sight to see, because you got to imagine Isaiah, when the Lord gave these visions, they were very vivid. Okay. They were very vivid. It was as if he was in there. It was as if he was, being not burnt up, but actually, firsthand witnessing a destruction, utter destruction that back in his time, there wasn't even no technology to be able to do something like that. But now, as time progressed, knowledge have increased, there is now actually technology that can bring forth a great mass destruction, utter destruction, right, of a country being utterly destroyed by fire. So that is what he saw. And not just him, but you had other prophets that seen the same thing as well. Verse 5, it says, prepare the table, watch in the watchtower, eat, drink, arise, ye princes, and anoint the shields. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to read this in the NLT because it gives it a bit of more clarity. It says, prepare the table. Slacky, let's pull it up. Let's start at 4. It says, my mind reels and my heart races. I long for the evening to come, but now I am terrified of the dark. Look, they are preparing a great feast. They are spreading rugs for people to sit on. Everyone is eating and drinking. Remember, this is a message about Babylon. All right, this is a vision that he saw, of Babylon. And Yahawashi did not he say, as in the days of Noah, so shall it be in the days of the Son of Man. They were eating and drinking, marrying and giving into marriage. Even while you have this happening, right? Did I pull up this? I thought I pulled it up. But let's pull up this. Cuba, Russia, right? Even while you have something like this going on, it says Russia warships will arrive in Havana next week, says Cuban officials citing, quote, friendly relations, right? So you got Russian warships. Now, when you read the article, they're saying that there isn't no any nuclear weapons that are going to be on these warships, and that could just be smoke and mirrors, okay, or it could be legit. But rather, regardless, this is not something. This is not something that is that happens often, right? You don't have Russian warships. I believe Cuba is what 90 miles away from America, right? From Florida, right? So that's not the last time I can remember, and obviously I wasn't even born. The last time I heard about Russian warships, in Cuba was during the Cuban Missile Crisis. You see, so we are witnessing the manifestation of the prophecies of wars and rumors of wars, and even in the midst of this, you had is it this one? No, you had here. Let me just read this one part. It says the announcement came a day after the U.S. officials said that Washington had been tracking Russian warships and aircrafts that were expected to arrive in the Caribbean for a military exercise. So you have Russian warships doing military exercises in the Caribbean Sea, which is right next door to America. They said that the exercise will be part of a broader Russian response to the U.S. support for Ukraine. So this is what war posturing. Okay, we're not in a time of peace, as it says in Ecclesiastes. There's a season for everything, underneath the heavens. There's a purpose and a season for everything, underneath the heavens. Roughly paraphrasing. There's a time of war and there's a time of peace. Clearly, if you're doing military exercises in the backyard of your number one enemy, you are not in a time of peace. It says the officials of the Russian military presence said that the officials said that the Russian military presence was notable but not concerning. And that's what they have to say, right? Because they don't want to scare the public. They want to keep the majority of people docile. They want to keep them distracted, right? You got the NBA finals happening. Okay. You got all of these different, especially with Jake, all of these different controversies and just stupidity, vain things going on that is, constantly keeping Jake minds just unaware. That's why the Lord said to watch, right? The Lord was constant, he was adamant about watching, staying upon your watch, for you know not when your Lord cometh. See, so as we're reading, it says, however, it is taking place as the Russian President Vladimir Putin has suggested that Moscow could take asymmetrical steps elsewhere in the world in response to President Joe Biden's decision to allow Ukraine to use US provided weapons to strike inside Russia to protect Kharkiv, Ukraine's second largest city. So when you click on here, it says Putin warns that Russia could provide long range weapons to others to strike Western targets. Now, does this sound like something that is of no concern? Once again, these officials, they're concerned, but they don't want the public to be aware of what is going on. All right. They don't want the masses of people to know just how serious and just how dangerous times are in. But you got these other countries that are preparing their citizens for World War III. They're telling their citizens, printing out pages of what to do's during of a potential nuclear fallout. They're doing preps. They're doing simulation runs. But here in America, it's just people, just clueless, completely clueless about the reality of the situation that we're in right now. Okay. Just as, once again, as it was in the days of Noah, as it was in Sodom and Gomorrah. See, the Sodom and Gomorrah, the people there, they didn't know that the Lord was about to rain down fire and brimstone and destroy all of them. What were they trying to do? They were trying to commit sodomy on angels, right? On messengers. They were trying to commit abominable acts on the Lord's messengers. They were the Lord Lot. He was vexed with the filthy conversation of the wicked. That's the same position that we're in right now. We're vexed with the filthy conversation of the wicked. You see? So what is the Lord going to do? He's going to deliver the elect out of Babylon the Great, out of this place, as it says in Revelation, the 18th chapter, right? Revelation 18, verse 4 says, and I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues. Right? And how are they going to come out? By way of Yahawashi returning and delivering them up out of here through the chariots of Israel. Okay? What the world calls UFOs or UAPs, us being beamed up, so to speak, to not receive of that plague, which is what? That final plague, which is that fire. It says, for her sins have reached unto heaven, and God hath remembered her iniquities. And why and how is that happening? Because you have the souls of the righteous are crying unto the Lord, okay? Asking the Lord how long, right? Asking the Lord to avenge us. Did not Yahawashi say that the Lord bear along with them? Salaki, not Revelation. What's that? Luke 18, right? Luke 18, verse 1. It says, and he spake a parable unto them to this end, that men ought to pray, always pray, and not to faint. Right? When it says to this end, meaning what? He spoke a parable unto them to expound, right? To basically give them this understanding. Let's see what it says in a different. It says, and one day Yahawashi told a story to show how they always should pray and never give up. And that is what the position that we're in right now. Every day, even in your minds, meditating on this, the Lord bringing this place down, delivering us, destroying Babylon the Great, okay? Avenging us. And and that is the mindset of an elect. The mindset of an elect wouldn't be trying to, have a 5, 10, 15, 20-year plan here. Wouldn't be trying to, be in a mindset of, being comfortable in this hellhole. No, we're supposed to be praying for deliverance. You see? But let me jump to verse 18, verse 8. It says, and I tell you that he will avenge them speedily. So, like verse 7, it says, and shall not God avenge his own elect, which cry day and night unto him, though he bear long with them? See, the elect are going to be crying day and night. Ezekiel 9, verse 4, set a mark upon the men that sigh and that cry for the abominations that be done in the midst thereof. All right. Hey, the Lord hears our prayers, man. Hey, and that's why you got to keep praying. You got to keep throwing up those prayers. You got to keep asking the Lord to shalak, rayim. All right. Why nashim, why badim, why haragim, why mashapatim. I'll call, right? Adawamim, why gawayim, why mawaf lababal, why abababal. You see? Bring fires, judgments, pains, death, okay, upon Esau and the heathen. Destroy Babylon. That's the prayers that we're supposed to be praying, man. If you are of the elect mind, it says what? And shall not God avenge his own elect, which shall cry day and night unto him, though he bear long with them? I tell you that he will avenge them speedily. Nevertheless, when the Son of Man cometh, shall he find faith on the earth? All right, because we live in a society, we live in a time period where people are completely faithless, man. Why do you think people took that juice and ultimately they gonna take that karate? Because they have zero faith. But their faith is with who? The elect, that small remnant, okay, the little sanctuary. And that is who the Lord is going to say what? To come out of her, my people, so that you're not partakers of the plagues, because what? The just shall live by faith. All right. And our faith gets renewed, our faith gets stronger as we see all of these prophecies manifest. All right. So where were we? So yeah. So when you go here, like I said, it said he warns that Putin warns that Russia could provide long-range weapons to others to strike Western targets. So we are speaking about war, right, between America and Russia, which is once again biblical prophecy. And as he said this, Biden said this: Biden admits strikes inside Russia could draw U.S. deeper into Ukraine conflict. However, such a scenario is still unlikely, according to the American president. So these niggas, they just be lying, because he said before that America won't get involved, that America's weapons will not be used to strike Russia. But here it is now. That's the same thing he said wasn't going to do. That wasn't going to happen. They're doing now. So once again, hey, never trust thine enemy, man. See, when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction shall come upon them. Right? It says U.S. President Joe Biden has admitted that Ukrainian strikes on Russian territory with American supplied weapons could escalate Western involvement in the conflict. However, the possibility of a direct clash with Russia is still very low, the U.S. president has claimed. And remember, these Ukrainians are Amalekites, man. Okay? A lot of them are Amalekites, especially the president, Zelensky. When you go to his heritage, he came from Ish parents. So that is another prophecy, as it is written, the least of the flock shall draw them out. So they're being what? Draw is literally the same words that are being that are in the scriptures, man. Let's pull it up. Jeremiah 49. Jeremiah 49, verse 20, it says, therefore hear the counsel of the Lord that he hath taken against Edom, and his purposes that he has purposed against the inhabitants of Teman. Surely the least of the flock, surely means truly, okay? Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitations desolate with them. What did Biden say? Biden admits strikes inside Russia could draw U.S. deeper into the Ukraine conflict. Okay, so once again, prophecies is manifested. It's actually happening, word for word, how Soldier Boy said about Drake. He stole my lines, word for word, bar for bar. Remember, this whole thing is the Lord's doing. So he will have things happen according to his script. That is, we're reading it. It's like reading the script, but it's reality. It's what is actually happened, taking place. The fact that, like I said in the beginning, the fact that Russia is de-dollarizing, that they're moving away from using the U.S. currency to do trade with other nations, and that is actually taking, having steam globally. The Russians and the BRICS nations as a whole, but Russia being a spearhead of that, they're not going to regard the Babylon's gold and silver, their money. See, and this is why they're ultimately speaking about the beast, America. This is why they're trying to push for this digital system, because they know that the U.S. dollar is on its way out. All right. Now, the thing about the whole digital system, it's still going to have multiple different nations currencies being in play, but at the end of it, it's all going to be digital. All right. And if you can have this conglomerate of digital tokens, right, tokenizations, as they like to call it, then it's not just the US dollar anymore. It's the US dollar, it's the EU, it's the Tokyo, it's all of these currencies in this that are being, basically controlled by the central banks. And remember, the central bank is not a part, especially the Federal Reserve is not a part of America. It's not owned by the United States, right? It's a private reserved corporation or government, or not government, private reserve corporation owned by who? If it's private, who owns this? So going back here, it says Washington and several of its allies confirmed last week that Kiev is now allowed to use the Western supplied arms for attacks inside Russia. During the interview, an interview with ABC News on Thursday, Biden was asked if he thought this could draw the U.S. and the wider West into the Ukraine conflict in a much larger way. It theoretically, Edomites love using that word theoretically. I hear it at my job all the time. In theory, this ain't no theory, man. This is what it is. Okay, this is a fact. It says it theoretically could, but it is unlikely. What's the who said that? That's why the Lord said the deceived and the deceiver are his. Because you're saying it's unlikely, but the Lord said this is his purpose. And who will disannul it? Oh, let me get something real quick. And we're about to close it out. Lamentations chapter 3, verse, where is that? 37. Who is he that saith, and it cometh to pass when the Lord commanded it not? Okay. If the Lord didn't say it was going to happen, then it's not going to happen. And vice versa. If the Lord purposed it, who can disannul it? Who can stop it? So they're saying, Biden is saying that but it's unlikely. Well, they also said that inflation was transitory, right? They also said that the juice will stop you from getting will prevent you from getting the CV. But as it says in the book of, I want to say, see the Numbers or Deuteronomy, right? Happy art thou, O Israel, who is like unto thee, O people saved by the Lord, the shield of thine help, and who is the sword of thine excellency, and thine enemies shall be found liars unto thee, and thou shalt tread upon their high places. See, they are found liars, man. Hey, Esau is known as the father of lies. So that's why whatever he says is the opposite. Okay. But all in all, what we are seeing is a buildup of more and more conflict between Russia and America, aka Babylon and the Medes, or Babylon and Gog and Magog, okay, which ultimately is going to bring in the destruction of America. All right. So let's get this and we'll close it out. Jeremiah 51, verse 11, it says, make bright the arrows, gather the shields. Oh, Salaki, I was reading something. I just remembered. Let me go back to Isaiah 21, verse 4. Verse 5, it says, look, they are preparing a great feast. They are spreading rugs and for people to sit on. Everyone is eating and drinking, but quick, grab your shields and prepare for battle. You are being attacked. All right. And this is once again the vision or the message concerning about Babylon. So while people are in this mindset of eating and drinking, meaning that you're in a comfortable state, it said what? But quick, grab your shields and prepare for battle. You are being attacked. Meanwhile, the Lord said to me, put a watchman on the city wall. Let him shout out what he sees. He should look for chariots drawn by pairs of horses and for riders on donkeys and camels. Let the watchman be fully alert. Then the watchman called out day after day, I have stood on the watchtower, my Lord. Night after night, I have remained on my post. Now, at last, look, here comes a man in a chariot with a pair of horses. Then the watchman said, Babylon is fallen, fallen. All the idols of Babylon lie broken on the ground. See, that is what the watchmen see. And being on a watchtower, you are able to see further than the common folk, right? The ones who are not on a watchtower. And that is what we see through the spirit. We see Babylon is fallen. We see how this is all leading up to the prophecy of Babylon, the Great America, being completely destroyed. So things that are currently taking place in the world is only leading up to Babylon is fallen and destroyed. That's it. Okay. And that is why it's a blessing to be upon a watchtower. All right. It's a blessing to be able to do, the service of a watchman, because we have the Lord giving us the foresight to see what's coming before it comes. And it's our duty, right? Dispensation has been given unto us to do what? To warn, right? We have to warn, as the Lord told Ezekiel, hear the words of my mouth and give them warning from me. And those that are of the Lord's elect, they're going to hear the warning. All right. So let's go back to Jeremiah 51, verse 11. Make bright the arrows, gather the shields. The Lord has raised up the spirit of the kings of the Medes, for his device is against Babylon to destroy it. See, once again, ancient Babylon was not utterly destroyed. But this is speaking about prophetic Babylon, because it is the vengeance of the Lord, the vengeance of his temple. Set up the standard upon the walls of Babylon, make the watch strong, set up the watchmen, prepare the ambushes, for the Lord hath both devised and done that which he has spake against the inhabitants of Babylon. All right, so as the Lord said it, thus shall it be. All right, and it will never, it cannot be any other way. All right, so that's pretty much it. Just want to touch on this. Lord willing, this was edifying and informative unto the elect. I want to give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahawashi, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash. And until next time, Shalom.